Hello YouTube! Welcome back to another Tutorial Tuesday. Oh goodness, there's doggy hair all over. Sorry. We are gonna do some Polygel today, and I am super excited about it. I have a love-hate relationship with Polygel, and we'll talk about it a little. I have tips on right now, which typically you do not need to use when you do Polygel, but I have tips on from a previous application type situation. So we're just going to do the Polygel right on top because you can. I also think that if you have, sorry, I'm off screen a second. If you have a tiny bit of length at least, and not stubbies like I always do, Polygel is a little bit easier to do. So we are gonna start off with like the things, right? The tools and things that come along with doing Polygel. So I personally really like Beetles gel. Their poly kit is so fabulous. I love their kit. Like I said, have a love-hate relationship with Polygel, but it's not anything to do with the Beetles kit at all. So it comes with a base gel. It comes with your top gel. The kit I got came with 4 colors of your Polygel. I'm going to use white today. Actually, no, I take that back. I'm not. You want to know why? Because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing, and I have white tips on. So we'll do the light pink. And then it came with this really nice file, 100/180 grit. It's washable. I tend to be lazy and not wash it though. That's bad. I shouldn't do that. And then it came with this file, which is really nice, because if you should have to buff and shape your Polygel, this will help to smooth it back out and then add the shine back to it if you are going to wear your Polygel on its own. Then the kit also comes with this really nice double-ended tool with your spatula for applying the Polygel from the tube to the forms, and then your brush for shaping. It also comes with these really nice dual forms. Actually, I think, yeah, these are called dual forms. So it comes with these. It comes with a couple sets of them with the different sizes. So if you end up, having to throw one out, you can get a replacement of the same size. And then this did not come in the kit, but I find they are super useful and helpful. These are nail clips. They're kind of like a variation of the ones you put on to remove, right? But they're clear and they go on this way to hold your form down while you cure in the light without affecting your curing process, right? So let me just tuck all these tools back out of the way so we can get started here, right? So, sorry, I had a slightly important message come through from one of the groups I moderate. They're all important, but like, you know, address now kind of slightly important. So, where were we? Starting the process, right? So we also obviously need a nail lamp, right? I have the Aurora one from Melody Susie. I scrubbed it down the other day because I stained it with a bunch of red powder. So it used to say Melody Susie up here, and it no longer does, which makes me a little sad. But that is the Aurora one. It's really quite the cute little light. I would say the only downside is I can only fit my 4 fingers under there. So I actually do these 4, and then my thumbs when I do my processes. So starting out, you take your base gel. And you apply your base gel to your nails. I am very, very sensitive to that burning sensation that can happen when you use gel products. So you'll notice that I try to be obnoxiously thin with my applications of base gel and the top gel. I would rather do like 3 coats of super, super thin than 1 thick, because it is very unpleasant for me if I'm not careful with the gels and curing. So then this Beetles brand base gel actually needs to cure for 90 to 120 seconds. My light has 60 and 45, so I typically will put it in for 45 and then 45 more. So fun things to note while we have to wait for that process to happen. Typically, the thing that gets people with polygel is either their polygel is too thick or it's too thin. And I feel it's very personal which ballpark you fall in. I personally fall into my polygel always seems to be far too thin, and then I have breakage issues. I have a friend who her polygel tends to be thick and she has to buff it down. Neither is necessarily like that big a deal, but if your gel is too thick and you're buffing it down, obviously that's going to be more time during your process. If it's too thin and it's breaking, then that's going to be more time in the fact you're going to be fixing your nail that breaks often. And you'll kind of see, I'll show you a little bit of what I mean. Once this is done curing, we will pop into doing the fun stuff, right? Do 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 do. Wear my high heel shoes. Sorry, bursting into song. So that's the base gel on there, right? There's not like, it's like a no wipe. It's really not like, it's a little tacky, but not really. So then we're going to open up our Polygel. Miss Beat to my own snitch on. Sorry. We're going to squeeze a little of this out and scoop it off there with a spatula. Set that aside. Okay. Now, similarly to when you're putting your tips on from our last video, you want your polygel form, I think this might be, oh yeah, it is the right one. You want your polygel form to go sidewall, see that, sidewall to sidewall, like very comfortably, because you're gonna be putting pressure on that to like hold it down, and you don't want things to smush out the sides too much. You want it to be a little bit bigger than your fingernail, really, is the main thing. So my nail beds are very flat, so compared to most people. So all of my extra space is in the actual like well here. Something cool about, I don't know if it's just Beetles that does this, but they actually mention in their kit information that you can use just a little bit of base gel as your slip solution when you do your shaping. So I put just a tiny bit on my little brush here, and I'm gonna push this in here to the actual form here. And then we're just gonna kind of lightly pat this polygel out to the edges. You'll notice that I am rebuilding that space that belongs in the well so that there's space for my fingernail to fit in there. And then I'm just gonna push that out. I'm actually gonna take my spatula here, this end piece, and I'm gonna scoop that out of there so that I can use it on my next nail that I do instead of wasting it. So then we're gonna take the form and we're gonna line it up to our cuticle wall, and we're gonna push it down, moving out toward the tip. Okay, so you stick your finger in there and you push down, moving the direction of the tip. Right? So then, this is where this handy dandy clip comes in. You want to clip it down back here by the cuticle, because otherwise you'll see, I don't know if I was even on camera there. Okay, so you push it down, right? You want your clip to be back here by the cuticle, because if you don't have that pressure back this direction, you'll notice shifting your formal move this way away from your cuticle, and you don't want that. I come back in with my brush. I don't know if this is something you really need to do, if it's part of the process, but I come back in and I try to like clean up my lines just a little bit before I cure you'll see where my tip ends there. We're gonna actually push this a little flatter, smoother, so there's not that weird bump that's under there. And I do that no matter where my length's at. Like if I didn't have the tip on, my nail would be like back here, and I would still kind of like flatten that out in here so that it wasn't bulking up downward, right? So then we're going to take set that tool down, click here, and we're going to take our next form for our ring finger here. Like I said, making sure sidewall to sidewall. Squeezing that out. Putting that little dab of base gel on our brush, and then patting and pushing this into shape. Right? Then, same thing as before, lining it up. There was a Bodhi hair there. We're going to line this up with the cuticle wall and push it from the back forward onto our nail, right? And now you see this, right? Smushed out the sides a whole lot. We're going to put our clip on here so that we are not moving away from our cuticle. Then we're going to just take the brush and push this up here to get that back in shape the way it belongs. Same thing on the other side. Oops, sorry. Just gonna push this so it gets back into a proper place before we cure. And then flatten this out, right? So that it's not bulked up underneath, right? Then we can bring our light into the picture, and we're going to cure that for 45 seconds. Then I'm going to take the clips off and we'll cure it again. How long you cure the polygel step is actually going to depend on how thick your polygel is. So if you have really thin layers, it won't take that much. If you have thicker layers, it's going to take more because you want the polygel to be fully cured all the way through. So that was 45 seconds. Now I'm going to take these off. You'll see that they stayed nice and tight to my cuticle instead of shifting around. And then I'm going to put it back in. And I actually tend to flip it over and put it in this way for my second, because you'll notice like this is very much not, you'll see the color's different up here, and down here is still really dark. So I stick my hand in upside down. I'm trying so hard not to burst into song, guys. That's why I'm quiet. Lips are moving. If your lips are moving. If your lips are moving, then you're la, baby. Sorry. Couldn't help it. Couldn't stop it. So, once all of this cures, you take your dual forms off, right? And then you shape and do all of the fun finishing things. And with experience, this gets faster because you don't have to do as much shaping. Okay, so see how that is, like, that's more cured, right? Color change. I'm gonna tell you, it's definitely still not finished curing. So we're gonna stick it back in there. But experience and like practice makes this a lot faster because you'll be more present to exactly how much polygel you should be using, and therefore how thick the polygel should be in the form. So curing will take less time, and then shaping will take less time as well. So those two steps are usually the most time consuming, and why this type of process is really not my favorite because it takes so long. But that's because I'm still fairly new to this. Okay, so once you have cured, which this is almost all the way cured, so you can pop these dual forms right off. So now the next step is all of this excess, right, needs to come off. So we use our file. You also, what I tend to do, which may be wrong, may be right, I will take, like you can see here, this is more, not that it's out here, it's like vertical. It like folded over the form. So I take, and I just kind of clip that fold off, right? Same thing on this side. I just clip the fold. So that comes off. Same thing here. And again, experience. Experience will change the need for that, right? You also want to make sure when you're doing your filing, you keep your file flat to your nail. because if you are going under, you're going to take away the under here and take away that C curve. If you're going over, you're going to take away your thickness and things. So you want to go on the side and only do the top where it's thickened over and shouldn't be. Right? Right? You can do that back on the cuticle line also. If you got like this nail, actually both of them, I got a little bit of fold over from the form, and you can totally just clip that off like you did on the sides. Right? And then you can file that down. If you have an e-file, that cuticle bit. Sorry, things are going catastrophically wrong off camera here. That cuticle bit actually is really great to just clean that right off so that it takes less time and you don't tear up your cuticle beds trying to get to it all. Okay. So then, once you do all of that part, you're ready to worry about length and things. I'm actually gonna pop this back in here though, because they're not quite cured and I don't want to try to shape or buff them without being fully cured. You're mine. Sorry. All the good jams are coming on today, and I can't help but sing along. All right, there. Finally actually fully cured there because it's too thick and, you know. So, you can totally take a nail clip thing that you stick in to like help your length. You could clip with these. You can just file it off to the size and length you want. You can use your e-file, you can use one of these. I think I'm actually going to try to keep them fairly long. Actually, no, I'm not. I changed my mind. I can do that, right? So I'm gonna take, they shoot off like a rocket sometimes, especially when they're thick. Make sure you're always clipping longer than you actually want it to end up being, because sometimes those clippers can break very strangely. Same thing with the actual nail extension clippers. Sometimes that break that happens is just not very clean. It's very strange, and you end up losing more on your length than you might have intended. Sorry, I'm off camera. A tip for shaping, I always tend to shape my nails more this way than this way, especially because I don't know if you can tell in my videos, my fingers are not straight, my nails are not straight, so in terms of having them look the best, I always try to orient this way when I shape. So I actually really like that length and shape. Okay, then, oops, powder all. Now that I've got my shape, I actually tend to come under here and just make this edge actually like flat, because if you see here, there's two levels, so I just kind of even that out to be one smooth line. Right. Okay. So the Polygel, if you can see, is actually like really thick right here, and it's not any kind of like C shape there. I do feel a way that it like curves down, like claw-ish like. I tend to not personally enjoy that. Sorry, I got real quiet. I was like super focused. I find shaping very like so sorry, I got very, very focused on shaping there. Same thing though, you know, same process. I'm sure you don't need me to like explain it like in verbal terms. What are you doing? I'm sorry, I'm off camera. So that is 2 of my Polygel nails applied and done. I will finish up the rest and pop back in to show you the finished set. So now that we have all 5 fingers done, this buffer that I talked about earlier. So right here, I don't know if you can see on camera so much. See that dull spot? On both these fingers. I had a few puppy hairs that got caught in the Polygel. So I just buffed off the very top and buffed them out as best I could. This, when you use it to buff over, will actually smooth down that roughness that happens when you buff with the other file. And then you can use the other side to bring back some of that shine. Then, once we've done that, we'll put our gel top coat on as our last step, and we should have gorgeously shiny long nails. Top coat. Again, I put obnoxiously thin layers on for my gel base and top because I have a very hard time with the burning sensation that happens. So I typically do at least 2 coats of my top coat when I'm done with the Polygel set, because I do such thin layers so as not to experience that discomfort. My light from Melody Susie is actually really great for that, because it's designed to try to avoid the heat spikes that can happen and cause that. But the thinner the layers, the less likely I'll have to deal with that. The top coat, like the base coat, needs to cure for 90 to 120 seconds. So I tend to do the 45 and 45. And then if it seems to need more curing after that, I'll do more. But